Please subscribe and like this video. It will really help our channel. Thank you. Before I start, here's the practical point of this story. When respect starts slipping, most guys try to fix the vibe with more patience, more explaining, more bending. That's how you end up funding someone else's freedom while they mock you for being stable. This is about catching the moment the tone changes, when your partner talks to you like your staff and responding with structure, not emotions. You'll hear how I handled money boundaries, access boundaries, and public boundaries without shouting or begging. And you'll see the difference between a real apology and a tactical softening meant to pull you back into the same old role. The front door flew open hard enough to rattle the picture frames on the hallway wall. It is close to 3 in the morning. The house was dark except for the cold glow of the TV. I've been sitting on the couch like a night watchman, not even angry yet, just alert, the way you get when the pattern starts to feel ugly. Brooke stumbled in like she owned the place and hated it at the same time. Heavy perfume, club smoke, heels clicking offbeat, a laugh that didn't belong in a quiet neighborhood outside Austin. She spotted me and smiled like she caught me doing something wrong. Brooke dragged out, "Oh, you're still awake, sweetie?" It didn't land like affection. It landed like a dare. I kept my voice even. "You left at 7. It's almost 3. She tossed her purse onto the chair like a mic drop and shrugged. Time flies when you're not stuck in this dead house with your dead energy. There it was. Not a mistake. Not a bad mood. A clean, deliberate test. I clicked the TV off. The room went quiet except for the air conditioner. "Where were you?" "Out. With adults." She kicked off one heel, then the other, and slouched down onto the couch like a teenager breaking curfew on purpose. "I needed a break from your sad atmosphere." I nodded once like I was taking inventory. "Luna Lounge." Her eyes sharpened for half a second. "Excuse me." Don't act surprised. The charge hit the account. I leaned back, and it didn't hit the fun money line. It hit the money that was supposed to sit in the housing bucket. Brooke laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A confident one. "Wow, you tracked a charge. Congratulations. Want a sticker?" It's not about tracking. It's about priorities. My priority is not rotting in here with you. She waved a hand toward the living room like it was a crime scene. "You think your little paycheck makes you some kind of provider?" I raised an eyebrow. Little paycheck paid for this roof. She leaned forward, elbows on her knees, eyes bright with that new version of her I'd been watching grow for months. Late nights, networking, louder clothes, louder opinions, and a steady disgust for anything normal. Brooke said, "Please. My parents have real money, real standards. They look at you, and they don't even know what category you're in." I didn't flinch. Funny, because when your dad's real standards got behind on his property tax situation last year, my category covered it. Her mouth twitched. "You love throwing that in my face." I never threw it in your face. I quietly handled it, like I handled your mom's medical bills when the influence wasn't answering the phone. Brooke's smile turned sharp. "You didn't handle it out of generosity, Nathan. You handled it because you like playing hero. You like feeling needed. It's your whole personality." I let that sit for a beat. Then I said, "No, I handled it because I was your husband." She sat back, stretched her legs out, and looked at me like I was a boring presentation she'd already decided to fail. Brooke said, "You were my husband the way a minivan is someone's dream car. Functional, reliable, nothing to brag about." I stared at her, calm enough to feel the exact second my patience died. Not in a dramatic way, more like a switch flipping. I stood up and picked up her purse from the chair. I opened it, pulled out the crumpled receipt that was half hanging out, and set it on the coffee table like evidence. "Here's what's happening," I said. "You're going out and spending the money we earmarked for the house. Then you come home and talk to me like I'm staff." Brooke smirked. "Staff doesn't get to question me." "Right." I nodded. "And that's why tomorrow we're finalizing the divorce." The word hung there like a dropped plate. For a split second she froze. Her eyes flicked, calculating. Then she recovered fast and laughed again, louder. "Oh my God, Nathan, you're so dramatic." I didn't move. Not a threat. A schedule. She stood up, swaying a little, and pointed a finger at me like she was on stage. "You don't control the outcome. You don't control me. If anyone is ending this, it's me." I tilted my head. "You can tell yourself whatever story helps you sleep." Brooke stepped closer, her smile turning mean. You think you could do something to me? You can't. You're not that guy. I held her gaze. I'm exactly that guy. I've just been busy building a life while you've been auditioning for strangers. Her face tightened. You're going to regret this. Maybe, I said, but I won't regret being done. She spun toward the hallway and slammed the bedroom door so hard the wall shook. I didn't follow. I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and set my phone on the counter. Then I did the first adult thing I should have done months ago. I opened a new account in my name only, transfer my direct deposit, and change the access on every shared bill I could without creating chaos. Not petty, not emotional, just math. And as I watched the confirmation screens, one thought hit me clean and cold. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have stopped funding the disrespect a long time ago. The next morning, I met Brooke where these things get handled: sterile building, beige walls, quiet tension, people pretending they're fine. Brooke walked in like it was a photo shoot. Perfect hair, expensive looking outfit, calm face. Like the last night was a dream I'd made up. Beside her were Cynthia and Ray Carter, her parents. Money in their posture, confidence in their silence. The kind of people who think they're being polite when they're actually being dismissive. And sitting off to the side, not near them, was Emma, Brooke's younger sister. Quiet, hands folded, eyes down. She looked like she'd been dragged into this and didn't know where to put her loyalty. Cynthia's eyes scanned me like I was a bargain item that somehow ended up in a luxury cart. She said, Nathan, you always lived above your station. You really thought marrying into our family would make you someone. I smiled a little, not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. I didn't try to be someone. I tried to be a husband. Ray's jaw tightened. Don't get cute. I looked at him. I'm not being cute. Your daughter wanted the benefits of stability with none of the responsibility. That's not a station problem. That's a character problem. Brooke crossed her legs slowly, like she had time to perform. Listen to him, always acting like he's the reasonable one. One of her representatives started pushing a story. How I was controlling, how I restricted her, how I tracked her. Same script Brooke had been testing at home in smaller doses. I didn't argue feelings. I slid documents across the table. Mortgage statements, payment history, titles, account records. The simple stuff that tells the truth without raising its voice. The mediator type flipped through pages, quiet and focused. Brooke's smile faded in slow motion. Her rep tried again. He used finances to control. I cut in calm. I used finances to keep the lights on. Cynthia leaned forward. Brooke shouldn't walk away with nothing. She isn't, I replied. She's walking away with her car, a fair payout, and the freedom she's been begging for in neon lighting. Brooke's eyes flashed. Freedom? You're such a jerk. I tilted my head. Jerks don't pay your parents' bills. Ray made a low sound at his throat. Watch your mouth. I stared at him, steady. Make me. I got quiet fast. I noticed Emma looking up now. Not at Brooke. At the documents. At the reality. Her eyes had that expression people get when they realize the story they've been fed doesn't match the receipts. The decision came down clean. The house and most assets stayed where the names and payments were mine. Brooke got what was agreed, a payout and a vehicle. No dramatic speeches, no fireworks, just consequences. When we stood up, Brooke's face stayed composed, but her hands were tight at her sides. As we walked out, Ray brushed past me close enough that his shoulder hit mine. He hissed, "This isn't the end. You humiliated our daughter." I didn't even slow down. She did that herself. Outside, the sun was too bright for how heavy the air felt. Brooke caught up to me before I reached my truck. No mediator, no parents, no audience, just her and the mask slipping off. Her lipstick was smeared like she'd wiped at it too hard. Her eyes were hot with anger. She grabbed my forearm. Don't leave. I looked down at her hand on me, then back at her face. Let go. She tightened her grip. You owe me. This is unfair. You took the house. I didn't yank away. I simply removed her fingers one by one, like disarming a child. I owe you, I said. I gave you everything, time, work, my name. You wanted more, and you went hunting for it outside our life. Brooke's laugh came out sharp and desperate. Nobody's buying your drama. You didn't win. You'll be alone in that house. I opened my door. Better alone than spending my life playing a role in your show. Brooke stepped closer, voice rising. You can't do this to me. I got in and started the engine. Already did. Her face twisted like she was about to yell, but then she glanced toward the parking lot, checking who might be watching. Even now, she needed the right angle. I drove away and didn't look back. At home, the silence felt like air after being underwater. No passive-aggressive notes on the counter. No accidental missed calls. No late-night keys scraping the door like a warning. I walked room to room and did something simple. I reclaimed my space. I changed the locks. I cleared the closet. I moved the guest room desk into my office. I boxed up anything that belonged to her and stacked it in the garage with a single label, pick up by Friday. Then I sat at the kitchen table with coffee and a legal pad and wrote new rules for myself. No shared money. No shared access. No private conversations without purpose. My phone buzzed around noon. A message from Brooke. Can we talk like adults? I don't want this ugly. I stared at it, amused. Ugly wasn't the divorce paperwork. Ugly was her coming home at 3 in the morning and calling my life dead. I replied with one line. Pickup is Friday. Text only. Keep it practical. 2 minutes later, she sent another message. Softer. I'm sorry about last night. I was stressed. I miss you. There it was. First illusion. Light care. A little apology, just enough to see if I'd step back into the old job. I didn't. I left it on read. That afternoon, I went to my job site, small engineering outfit, mostly commercial work. My coworker Marcus was outside by the trucks, sipping coffee like it was a hobby. Marcus looked me over. You look like you slept for the first time in months. I smirked. Don't jinx it. He nodded toward my phone. She's still trying to run the show. She's trying to rewrite the script, I said. Marcus laughed. Man, don't argue with theater people. They love the sound of their own plot. I stepped into the office and had payroll switch my deposit officially. Not because Brooke could steal my money, but because I was done giving anyone the ability to confuse access with entitlement. That night, the doorbell rang. I checked the camera and saw Emma standing there, shoulders tight, hands clasped like she was holding herself together by effort alone. I opened the door halfway. Emma. She swallowed. I know this is weird. I'm not here for forgiveness. I need you to hear something from someone who isn't performing. I nodded once and stepped aside. Come. Emma walked in like she was afraid the walls would start yelling. She looked around the living room. It's quiet. It's mine, I said. She exhaled and finally met my eyes. I heard a lot. For years. From Brooke. From my parents. And I believed it because it was easier than being the person who questions her. I leaned against the counter, giving her space. Say what you came to say. Emma's voice shook, but she kept going. You weren't crazy. She lied. She told people you controlled her, that you limited her, that you made her feel trapped. And I've been in your house. I've seen you. You were working. You were paying for everything. You weren't controlling. You were carrying. I let that land. My jaw tightened a bit, not from emotion, from recognition. Emma added, in our family, if you go against Brooke, you become the enemy. I looked at her steady. And you're here anyway. She nodded, eyes wet. Yeah, I didn't do the warm hug thing. I didn't pat her head and tell her she was brave. I just gave her a clean frame. You showing up as an action, I said. Actions count. Emma wiped her face with the back of her hand. I'm trying not to fold into a corner. Good, I said. Don't. When she left, she paused at the door. She's going to come for you. Not because she misses you, because she lost control. I held her gaze. Then she'll learn what no looks like. 2 days later, I ran into Emma at a small bookstore in town. She was in the aisle like she was hiding inside normal life. She offered a tired smile. You read? Enough to keep my brain from getting soft, I said. Emma half laughed. Brooke used to call me Invisible Emma because I didn't like attention. Ich glänzte her. And now, Emma held up a book like it was proof of growth. Now I'm learning I don't have to be invisible to stay safe. I nodded. Good. Because safety built on silence isn't safety. She hesitated, then said, I found something. We stepped outside to the small bench near the storefront. Emma pulled out her phone and scrolled with trembling fingers. Screenshots, posts, group chats, messages from weeks before the divorce. Not explicit, just ugly. Brooke talking like our marriage was a financial strategy, joking about upgrading, bragging about living her best life while he pays the bills, friends cheering her on to get the most. Emma looked at me like she expected me to shatter. I didn't. I just felt the last bit of doubt evaporate. Emma said quietly, she planned it. The story, the image. I know, I replied. But knowing and seeing proof are different. She swallowed. If she keeps telling people you were the problem, she'll keep doing it. She'll keep wrecking your name. I kept my voice calm. What are you suggesting? Emma's hands tightened around her phone. We post facts. No insights. No long rants. Just receipts. I studied her for a second. Your family will crush you. Emma lifted her chin. They already did. They just haven't said it out loud yet. I nodded once. All right, but we keep it clean. Dates. Screens. No name calling. That night we posted a simple set of images with minimal captions. No drama. No speeches. Just evidence. By morning, my phone had messages from people I hadn't heard from in months. Some apologized. Some asked questions. Some stayed quiet but stopped liking Brooke's posts. The best part wasn't attention. The best part was watching the narrative stop being hers alone. Around lunch, Emma called me, voice shaking. They're screaming, she said. Brooke's losing it. My mom said I'm dead to them. My dad said I'm ungrateful. I stayed steady. You did the right thing. Emma sniffed. I feel sick. You feel sick because you're detoxing from a family rule, I said. The rule that the loudest person gets to be right. She breathed, trying to control it. Brooke said I'm a traitor. I answered flatly. That's what controlling people call honesty. There was a pause. Then Emma said, thank you for not making this emotional. I almost smiled. Emotions don't protect you. Structure does. That evening, Emma showed up again, this time after dark, hood up like she didn't want neighbors asking questions. I opened the door, and she stepped in fast. She held up her phone. There's more. I didn't ask how. I didn't ask why. I just nodded. Show me. Emma pulled up a backup account Brooke had been using. More messages. More timelines. Brooke telling different men different versions of her life. Painting me as cold. Controlling, keeping her caged. Dates stretched back months. It wasn't one bad night. It was a long project. Emma's eyes were red. I am sorry. I looked at her, calm enough to be honest. You didn't ruin my life. You cleared the fog. She exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. I said, copy everything. Store it. Then stop digging. You're not her detective. You're your own person. Emma nodded. Okay. As if the universe loved timing, my doorbell camera pinged. I glanced at the screen. Brooke, not dressed for photos now. Hair messy. Eyes angry. No parents. No audience. Just a real version, the one she usually saved for private. I looked at Emma. Stay behind me. Don't say a word unless you choose to. Emma swallowed and nodded. I opened the door, and Brooke pushed in like the house still belonged to her. She shouted, you think this is funny? You think you can embarrass me and just sit in here like a king? I stepped forward and closed the door behind her. This is my house. Lower your voice. Brooke spun toward the hallway like she wanted to storm the set and control the lighting. Where is she? I kept my posture relaxed. Who? Don't play dumb. Brooke pointed like a prosecutor. Emma, where is she? I let a small smile show. You're not here to talk about us. You're here to hunt the person who stopped lying for you. Brooke's face twisted. You ruined deals for me. You ruined opportunities. People are asking questions. Good, I said. Questions are healthy. She stepped closer, voice rising. You had no right. I looked at her, steady. You had no right to spend housing money at Luna Lounge and call me dead energy in my own living room. Brooke's eyes flashed. That was one night. I shook my head. No, that was the night you stopped pretending. She sneered. You're pathetic, Nathan. You're nothing without me. Right then, Emma stepped into view from behind me. Brooke froze, then laughed like it was a weapon. Oh my God, there you are. Look at you hiding in his house like a little lost puppy. Emma's voice was quiet but clear. I'm not hiding. I'm standing somewhere you don't control. Brooke's smile cracked. I built you. I dressed you. I introduced you to people. You're ungrateful. Emma didn't flinch. You treated me like property. And I let you, because it was easier than being alone. Brooke turned to me, eyes wild. You did this. You turned her against me. I kept my voice level. I didn't turn anyone. I opened the door, and she walked in with the truth. Brooke stepped toward Emma, finger raised, ready to start the old intimidation routine. I moved one step sideways, quiet, direct, blocking her path without touching her. "Stop," I said. Brooke glared up at me. "Or what?" "Or you leave," I replied. "Now." She laughed, high and bitter. "You can't make me." I pointed toward the door. "Try me. This house is not your stage anymore." Brooke looked past me at the living room, at the calm, at the order she hated because she couldn't bend it. Her voice got sharper. "You're going to regret this. Both of you." Emma spoke again, still calm. "You don't scare me anymore." Brooke's mouth opened like she wanted to spit poison, but then she caught herself, like she remembered she might still need an audience later. She backed up one step, then another, eyes locked on Emma. "You're dead to me." Emma nodded once. "That's fine. I'm alive to myself." I opened the door and held it. Brooke paused at the threshold, staring at me like she wanted one last line to land. I gave her mine instead. "Brooke," I said, flat and final, "you don't get access to people you don't respect." Her jaw clenched. She stepped out. I closed the door, locked it, and the house went quiet again, quiet in a way that felt earned. A week later, my life looked simple. Work, gym, dinner with a couple friends who didn't want gossip, just peace. Marcus came by one evening and helped me mount new shelves in the garage. He glanced around and nodded. "This place looks like a man lives here again." I smirked. Careful. That almost sounded like a compliment. Emma didn't move in. She didn't ask to. She got her own small apartment and a job shift change, so she didn't have to cross her family's orbit every day. We met for coffee sometimes. Not romantic, not dramatic, just real. Two adults cleaning up someone else's mess by refusing to keep it secret. One afternoon she said, "They still think I'll crawl back." I answered, "Let them. People who need you small will always call your growth disrespect." Brooke faded fast once she couldn't control the story. Friends who loved her spotlight started backing away when the questions got uncomfortable. Her parents stopped calling her misunderstood and started calling her complicated. I heard bits and pieces through the community grapevine. Not my business. Not my problem. My business was my peace. I kept the house. I kept my routine. I took a promotion I delayed for our future and used the extra money for practical things, repairs, savings, a weekend trip with friends, a life that didn't feel like walking on glass. And the best part? At night, when the door stayed quiet, I didn't miss her. I missed the idea I'd been paying for. Big difference. Here's what I learned, and I'm saying it plain. First, when someone starts speaking to you with contempt, don't negotiate with tone. Don't debate. Don't try to explain how it makes you feel for the 10th time. In my case, the moment Brooke called my home dead and treated me like staff, the correct response wasn't a longer conversation. It was a boundary with teeth, new financial structure, new access rules, and a clear exit plan. Second, watch for tactical softness. Brooke's quick apology and "I miss you" message wasn't growth. It was a probe. A real change comes with accountability and consistent behavior. A tactic comes with timing, right after you take back control. If I'd relaxed and reopened access, I'd be back to funding the same disrespect with a prettier wrapper. Third, facts beat theater. Brooke tried to win with posture, image, and story. The only thing that cut through it was documentation and calm decisions. Posting receipts wasn't about getting back at her. It was about returning reality to its proper place, so she couldn't keep rewriting me into the bad guy. The mistake would have been endless arguing, chasing closure, or trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. Respect and boundaries beat familiar comfort. Every time. Please subscribe and like this video. It will really help our channel. Thank you.